What's up, Explearners? Welcome to my channel. I'm so excited that you're here. Today, in honor of International Women's Day, we are talking about executive presence for women. So if you're curious about this topic, then I suggest you stay tuned. You're not trying to communicate like a man. We have differences. Own these differences. Own it. Be proud of it. The goal is to communicate as you, not to fit the mold of somebody else. Authenticity over conformity. You have your own special qualities, insights, talents. So let's talk about how you can use those to your advantage while respecting the setting that you're in, whether it be in a startup scene or a corporate setting. These are going to be really helpful in helping you emanate that executive presence. Here are the 6 ways of commanding a room and emanating that executive presence. Are you ready? Tip number 1, take up space. You can do this with your voice and with your body. So with body language, we want to make sure that our posture is great, that we're doing these power poses, that we're using sweeping hand gestures. When we feel insecure and shy or diffident, we tend to make ourselves smaller. So if we're cognizant of that, we're gonna make sure that we're taking up space and we're showing up. You can also take up space with your voice. Use voice projection, right? We don't wanna be super quiet and soft-spoken, not when we're trying to emanate executive presence and be heard loud and clear. So you can think about it as using your diaphragm to allow you to use that pressure to put out those words. You're not speaking from your throat. You're speaking instead from your diaphragm. Breathe correctly from your diaphragm. By taking up space, you are showing that you're confident and you're showing up and you're emanating that executive presence. Tip number 2, take your time. Take your time with walking, take your time with talking. Okay, so for the first part of this, with walking, I want you to walk into a room as if you have all the time in the world. You're not rushing anywhere. You're not speeding to go and do something and check off everything on your to-do list. You want to show that you own the room as if you're Beyonce or J-Lo or an empress, right? So it's not about showing that you're busy and you're productive. You don't show you're busy and productive by racing through the hallway or running up to the coffee machine or running into the meeting. We are deliberate about how we walk in and we have time. And when you're making gestures, be deliberate about your gestures. Don't just, do something like that. Don't be too gesture focused. Make a gesture when you have a point to convey and to emphasize. That is how you get your point across confidently. And then the other side of taking your time is with your speech. Same as not rushing into a meeting room. You also don't want to ramble on and blurt out something. You want to be deliberate and thoughtful about your word choice, and you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, because you do. Taking time in walking and in talking will increase your confidence levels and increase the ability to emanate that executive presence. Also, when you're taking time with your words and your word choice, that buys you thinking time. You're able to think about what has just been said and to carefully construct a meaningful message. You're not reacting quickly and just blurting the first thing that comes to mind. No, if we did that, then we would have a lot of issues. So instead, use that time as thinking time. Also, the use of pause can help us think about what we're gonna say and also show our audience and our interlocutors that we're gonna make a point here. So listen up. Tip number 3. Be calm. I want you to keep still, right? You really shouldn't be moving unnecessarily. If you move, you have a point. There's purpose behind the gesture, so keep still. Avoid uptalk. That's when our voice goes up, when it's rising intonation like you would use in a question, but it's not a question. So if you're saying, "Hi, my name is MD," and it's mid-sentence or at the beginning of a sentence, then there's really no place for uptalk. Not in the way of emanating that executive presence that you want. So be really mindful of this and have that power tone ready. The tonal overlay is really important and really useful in conveying your confidence, not only to yourself, but to the people who are listening to you. And that is how you command a room. You know what you're talking about. You're authoritative. Keep that in mind. Don't use uptalk if it's not a question. Be mindful of your facial expressions. Some of us are really expressive with our faces, myself included, but it's something to be mindful of because unless you're acting or you're on stage and you're doing theatrics and drama, you want to be mindful of the gestures. Now, there's a good balance, and it's really about what you use to be authentic to yourself. But if you are the type of person who is expressive with their face, then just make sure that you're not overdoing it. Just add a little bit here and there because it can distract from what you're trying to say, and it can take away the executive presence that you're trying to emanate. And the last part of the be calm is don't react, respond. So it goes back to tip number 2. When you get something that's maybe not the best message you are expecting, you don't want to blurt something out like that. You want to be thoughtful about it, you want to think about it, and then plan. And then go ahead with what you're going to say. But don't react, respond. Tip number 4, let your creativity shine. It doesn't matter if you're not in a creative industry, you're not a designer or an artist or a musician or a dancer. It doesn't matter. We can all be creative, and we should. Creativity allows us to come up with these great big ideas. It allows us to think out of the box, right? All of these amazing things that come from creativity, if we tap into it, if we allow it to be in our lives. So anything you do can be sprinkled with a little bit of creativity. It goes a long way. It'll help you perform better because it fuels big ideas. It challenges groupthink and previous ways of thinking and perspectives. It also creates new business opportunities and ventures. So tap into that creativity and embrace it and let it shine. There is a place for creativity in business, I promise. Number 5, don't be afraid of taking risks. All too often, we listen to that voice inside our head that says, don't do it, you're not good enough, you're gonna mess up, right? These are really, really detrimental to us and to our personal growth and professional development. You don't want to avoid risk-taking for fear of failure, right? Failure is a stepping stone to success. You fail once, you get up again. You fail 5 times, you get up again. So don't be afraid of risk because of the fear of failure. I cannot stress that enough. All too often, we just let our emotions get the best of us. And if we're really thinking about it, what's the big deal of failure? Try to do something that's, okay, a calculated risk, but go there. Take yourself out of your comfort zone. That's the only way we can actually surmount an obstacle or think critically about something or find another solution and be able to think about that creatively as well. The best thing is that we learn from our failures. There's a great quote by Oprah, and I just love it. Number 6, go with your gut feeling. We have strong intuition. We should be able to use it. A really important aspect of communication is emotional intelligence. We should be able to tap into that EI and communicate with empathy and with care and with compassion. It allows us to be passionate about something and stand up for what we believe is right and true and what will benefit not only ourselves, but also the company at large if we're at a company or the startup or another business venture. Use that emotional intelligence to let you exude that confidence and emanate that executive presence. And in doing so, you will be a better leader. You will be more confident in your ability to figure out what's going wrong with a team or an individual and be able to support them emotionally and also with a great action plan. All right, Explearners, that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you in my next video right here on YouTube. Thanks so much for spending the time with me. I hope that you find these strategies useful, and I hope that you use them the next time you want to emanate your executive presence. Bye for now. Happy Explearning.